Back after a 2 week absence. As you know, internet issues have plagued me over the last few months in particular. It goes back way further. It goes back 18 months or so. But last Friday was honestly the final straw. I was ready to go. I had the show set up. I was going to give you a good show, and I couldn't even connect to restream to Twitch or to YouTube. So I kind of lost it. And I luckily had a really good interaction with the Spectrum service tech for the area, who was very, very nice, and arranged to have somebody here on Monday morning of this week to diagnose the problem as best they could and switch the point of entry for our internet node so that I'm now hardwired. This machine is now hardwired. After all the issues we've had, I am now hardwired. So there may still be issues because the internet did go down last night. I mean, it took them 4 days to try and figure out what they think is the issue, and we think we might have got it. But the internet did go down last night. It might go down again today. Who knows? We'll see. But until then, I'm going to plow on. I got a good show. I got 2 weeks worth of stuff to talk about. Obviously, the stuff I want to talk about last week and stuff from this week, because time passes. Time passes, shit happens, and things occur. And I'm here to talk to you about them. I see Sublevel 28 is in the house. Annalie, lovely to see you. Hi, Melkia. Thank you very much for joining. So what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about Ubisoft and their switch to free-to-play games from their AAA exclusives. I am going to talk about what else? I'm going to talk about Mass Effect. Mass Effect Legendary Edition dropped today, and at 8 a.m. this morning, I had it pre-installed, preloaded, and I started playing. And it's glorious. It is glorious. I'll talk about that. I'm also going to talk about the old ancient controversy with the Mass Effect 3 ending, and that was brought back to my attention by a article on CNET that I saw this morning. And so I'll talk about that a little towards the end. I'm also going to talk, because obviously last week was, May the 4th and Star Wars Day. I want to talk about my favorite Star Wars games, give you my little top 4, top 5, if you will. And let me see. Apple versus everybody. We can talk about that one. Because obviously Epic and Fortnite, Epic and Apple are going head to head over Apple removing Fortnite from the App Store because Epic circumvented the App Store to sell V-Bucks that you could then use on the Fortnite app. And Apple said, oh, no, you didn't. And Epic said, oh, yes, we did. And since then, all sorts of crazy stuff has come out. It's been interesting to see Microsoft side with Epic. Sony get dragged into it with regards to crossplay, because obviously they talked about how Sony didn't want to do crossplay, and Sony were trying to protect their gamers. In effect, what they were doing was just putting a ring around it. They weren't protecting their gamers; they were protecting their market share, which is understandable. Not ideal, but that's the state we live in. So yes, there was a lot of they showed how much money Epic spent on Epic Store exclusives, including Borderlands 3. And Borderlands 3, actually, tangent. Borderlands 3 was on sale on the Epic Store last week for $17. So I bought it. And can I just say, Boring Land? Not so much Borderland, more like fucking Boring Land. I liked Borderlands 1, loved Borderlands 2, but Borderlands 3 is monotonous. Very disappointing game. It's the base version, not the director's cut. There's no DLC or anything like that. But my understanding is that it's the version that shipped when it launched. And it bored me stupid. Absolutely stupid. Very disappointed. Glad I only paid $18 for it and not the full $59.99, to be honest with you. And so, yes, Epic, obviously, you give away free games. You spend $200 million a year on that alone, and you do lots of deep discounts, and you go for exclusives. But you need to source your exclusives a little bit better in that case, because Borderlands 3, disappointing. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff. First of all, here we go. Carlos is here. Yeah, good. I'm glad everybody's tuning in. I'm glad everybody's here. Like I said, apologies for last week. We seem to be okay. The internet is hardwired. This is good. Into my PC. Yes. All right. Let's talk about my top 4 or 5 Star Wars games. And I'll tell you for why. Because obviously last week was the Star Wars Day, May the 4th, blah, 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 punny, punny, pun, pun. And, you know, in honor, I'm joined by my Shogun Troopers. And obviously all the artwork all over the walls. And so, yeah, Star Wars, big part of my life, 1977, lining up with my mum to go to watch it. I only got to see it once back then in the theater because, you know, cinemas were expensive and, you know, you lined up for hours. There were no pre-assigned seatings and, you know, this was absolutely crazy. But it had an effect on me. The movie had an effect on me. I was a fan. I wanted to learn more. I never really got the toys. It just, you know, wasn't something we could afford at the time. Made up for it now, obviously, with the stuff I collect now. Yes, that's right. I'm a repressed child. But yeah, I mean, that really solidified my interest in sci-fi along with Doctor Who. And so, you know, I have played so many computer games and video games for Star Wars. I've played like the Super Star Wars games on the Super NES, and then there was the Jedi Knight and Dark Forces and the Force Unleashed, and then obviously the more recent stuff as well. I mean, I've pretty much played. I even played the Phantom Menace PC game that only got a release on PC on CD-ROM. I actually bought it here in the States when I was over on a business trip. It was actually an E3 trip, I think, where the Phantom Menace was opening after E3, and we'd been to E3 in LA, and I was working for Blue Byte at the time. Then we flew to Austin to the offices there, and was it Schaumburg? No, actually, it was Schaumburg, Illinois. We moved to we went to the offices in Schaumburg, and as a treat, they'd got us all tickets to watch The Force Awakens. So we went to it opening day. They'd blocked out some stuff, and you know the movie was like, but then I was shopping around Best Buy afterwards, and I saw this not Force Awakens, sorry, Phantom Menace, the Phantom Menace game. I'm aging myself. Senility has set in. So yes, I found it a Phantom Menace game, bought on CD-ROM because obviously no region lock on PC games back then. Brought it home. Fucking awful. I mean, it is a hot, but it follows the movie. It is the movie in video game form, and it's just atrocious. But I even played that. So anyway, Carlos, we will talk about Mass Effect in a minute. I've been playing it. I had it ready pre-installed. So let's go through my top 5 Star Wars games. And at number 5, and look, I mean, I could have done top 10, top 20. I mean, I could have ranked every fucking Star Wars game. I haven't played all of them, so I actually couldn't have ranked them all. I would have just said, these are the ones I played. But anyway, number 5, Lego Star Wars. Not only is this an excellent Star Wars game, and I'm talking about the one that's the original trilogy, not the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and whatever the other one was. But so it's technically the second set of Lego Star Wars games, but it is New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. And I got to say, it's fun. It is so much fun. It captures the comedy and the thrills of Star Wars, and it's just the best Lego game. Before they got, you know, they tried to reinvent the wheel so many times. I mean, I recently installed Lego DC Super Villains because I had it on my Steam account, and I thought, I'm going to give it a try. I haven't really played it in a long time. And I can see what TT Games have tried to do, but they haven't really advanced the formula. They've tried to, and it's difficult. But when you look at the original trilogy Star Wars game, that's still one of the best. And we had Indiana Jones after that, and we had Lord of the Rings, and we had Harry Potter, and then we had, you know, the final trilogy of Star Wars, and we've had Marvel and DC, and none of them, in my opinion, can top that Star Wars game. Because that one, being able to get all the bits and bobs and unlock all the bonuses and travel between the 3 games, perfect. Number 4, a newer game, Star Wars Squadrons came out not so long ago. The flight simulator, the spiritual successor, if you will, to X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. So that makes the list because it is recent. It's a lot of fun, very professional. I really enjoyed it, even though I suck at it. And I've said this before, I suck at flight games. Just my spatial awareness goes out the window. Don't know what it is, but really enjoyable. Great storylines. Love the way everything's put together. Top quality voice acting. I mean, it's basically like the Jedi Outcast or whatever the hell that not Jedi Outcast. What am I talking about? The other Star Wars game that came out about 18 months ago, the one that I didn't like, the one that was Metroidvania-esque. It's like that one, but actually good. So yes, Squadrons. It's on the Xbox Games Pass right now, especially if you've got an EA account. You can cycle them all together. Fallen Order. That was the one. Gorgeous looking game, beautiful acting, great storyline, miserable gameplay. Hated that game. So yeah, Squadrons. Number 3, Super Star Wars. Super Star Wars is in there for nostalgia only because it's an incredibly hard game. I mean, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi are 3 of the hardest fucking games you will ever play on a 16, or actually on any system. I mean, this made the From Software stuff look like Tetris on an easy mode. This was sadomasochistic gaming at its finest. They were the sadists. We were the masochists. It was Star Wars. It was one of the first Star Wars video games that ever came out outside of the arcade machines. And it was great to look at, recreated the game. And that just was so much fun. And then just getting so irritated. I remember the Jawa Sandcrawler level, which was how you had to be so perfect on every jump and avoid the flames. And incredibly infuriating, but incredibly awesome. So awesome, in fact. Hang on a second. So incredibly awesome and so incredibly annoying. So there you go. I bought it. Not only that, I managed to find that one as well. And I've got that. And somewhere I've got Return of the Jedi. So yeah. The next time somebody tells me that, From Software stuff is hard and there's no need for an easy mode, go play those fucking games, motherfuckers. That's hard. All right. So, number 2 on my list of top 5 Star Wars games. Now, look, obviously, if this was in a professional environment like Game Trailers or Sifted or whatever, this is where you'd see the video footage of the games. And you're not getting that because it's me. But I'm bringing a lot of good energy. It's because I'm drinking my tea. And that's right. The Doctor Who mug is back. So yes, the number 2 is Jedi Knight. And this is basically the Dark Forces series. Now, in the mid-90s, we'd had the CD-ROM was like really taking off on the PC, and we had great quality sound, cinematics, all that stuff coming through. And I remember being at computer video games offices in London and seeing them play Dark Forces, which was the first Star Wars shooter we had. And it was like, oh my fucking God, it's Star Wars Doom. Because we'd had Doom then and Shareware, and we'd had Heretic, and it was starting to pick up the whole FPS genre. And I just sat and watched. And I watched a guy named Dave Upchurch, who's a very good long-term friend and former colleague. I watched him play. And I just sat there. All I needed to do was watch. I didn't even need to play. It was the sound of the blaster bolts, the sound of the TIE fighters coming in overhead, going through the Star Destroyer and hearing those noises, seeing the little power droid, the gonks, walking around, the R2 units, and it was just great. I mean, look, it's incredibly dated now because, you can't really aim up or down. You could just left to right. I don't even think there's a jump button, or if there was. But it was, for the time, groundbreaking because it was Star Wars. Star Wars Doom is what we all called it. But then the sequel was Jedi Knight. Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight. And that's where they brought out the 800-pound gorilla. And let me show you the 800-pound gorilla. It's because you got to have a lightsaber in a game. And yes, this is my treat to myself, my VFX saber from when I went to Disneyland a couple of years ago. Oh, love it. And so I'm putting this one safe because it was not cheap. And I know you can still hear me because I'm wandering around talking. But yes. So yeah, Jedi Knight was just brilliant. I mean, it really was just a great game. And then Jedi Outcast, I think, was one of the expansion packs. It was, yeah, it was just absolutely superb. And I know, we've got Star Wars Battlefront since, and we have Battlefront 2, and there was the Republic Commando series and a lot of other stuff. But that's again a nostalgia one. And then number one, no surprise, and considering we're on a BioWare themed day today when we talk about Mass Effect in a little while, it's KOTOR 1, 2, and the Old Republic. News broke a couple of weeks ago that KOTOR 1 and 2 are getting a remake from Aspyr Studios. Now, I think I talked about this a little before. My experience with Aspyr is that they've done a lot of ports over the years, predominantly taking games to Mac, because I know we worked, I think it was when I was at Redstone, we were working on Rainbow Six ports for the Mac, and again, Nova Logic for Delta Force. They were handling those, if memory serves. This was a long time ago, 20 plus years. A lot of stuff's happened in between. I may be wrong, but that's my familiarity with the company. If they can do a professional job with a great engine and upres the graphics, they don't have to fiddle with the controls. They don't have to fiddle with the storyline. They don't have to fuck with the gameplay. Keep it turn-based. All they have to do is put it all into an engine that works and is bug-free. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we have a win-win-win-win-win situation, because KOTOR 1, excellent game by itself. KOTOR 2, fantastic story, crippled by a horrible engine that was buggy as AF. Buggy as fuck. So yes, if they could do this job, that means that in 12, 18 months, we will be talking about another Legendary Edition coming from EA, and it will be me doing my happy dance all over again, because hopefully it will be fantastic. And then, the third part of that is the Old Republic, the MMO. When I can go back to an MMO after, I can go back every couple of years and get sucked in again and enjoy it and re-up to pay $14.99 a month, then you've got a quality piece of kit there. I would love to see a sequel. I don't think we're going to get one. It is what it is. But I still love the game. So anyway, that's my top 5 for Star Wars. That's what I would have talked about last week because of, Star Wars Day. Take a break. Let's have a look at the chat room, see who's in. So we got Carlos, Sublevel. We have Melchior. We have Stage Select. Encarta 95. Encarta 95 from Stage Select as the best Star Wars game, apparently. God, remember Encarta? Yeah. Thomas P with a good point, and I'm going to call this one up. I am going to put that there. Star Wars Galaxies wasn't the best game ever, but the feel of Star Warsness. Yes, I actually considered Star Wars Galaxies being put in because I liked what they tried to do. It was just really piss poor execution. The fact that they made it so difficult to be a Jedi. It was like, 1 in 150,000 will find the things to become a Jedi. It's like, no, everyone wants to be a Jedi. But you can be, you can own a tavern on Tatooine. Yeah, I want to be a Jedi. But you can open your own store selling pots, pans, and blasters. And it's like, that's great. We'll have that as a side thing. I want to be a fucking Jedi. And that's where they dropped the ball. And then, of course, they flipped it to say, now everybody could be a Jedi. Your dog could be a Jedi. Your cat could be a Jedi. Jedi babies. This was long before Grogu. So, yes, it was unfortunately too late, though. And Star Wars Galaxy went bye-bye. So, yes, that was a shame, but good comment. Thank you. You are right. Hello, Sebastian. How are you? The RP Genius is in the house. Yes, No, Stay Select was like, oh, they're talking about Encarta. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Encarta, Myst was obviously a big thing. The Seventh Guest. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that we had back then. So, yeah, if you want to, at the end of the show, I'll ask you about your top 5 Star Wars games. So don't type them up just yet. At the end of the show, we'll have a little natter. You can tell me what your ones are. Hello, Force Paralysis. Thank you for joining. How are you? Okay, next topic. While we're on that retro trip, let's talk about Sega and a report that came out this week via IGN and then got repurposed by Kotaku. In that Sega, and Kotaku framed it well. The headline, I think it was Luke Plunkett, he said, Sega suddenly, and I'm paraphrasing, but Sega remembers it has a shit ton of great IP they're sitting on, which is true. Shinobi, Altered Beast, we know Streets of Rage got a reboot, Crazy Taxi, Panzer Dragoon, Rez, Space Channel 5, Jet Set Radio, Knights. I mean, that by itself is a great selection of IP that could be rebooted. Comic Zone is another one that could be rebooted. That was a great game on the Sega Genesis. I mean, there were so many Sega games that Sega released on the Sega Genesis. Can you say Sega one more time? That they would all be great. And again, maybe some emulation would be good because there's also Game Gear stuff as well. Even Master System stuff. I mean, Master System was obviously kind of, but dated as hell. But anyway, yes, they had a lot of stuff that would be awesome to bring back. And a lot of companies have this. This is why I was so happy to see Mass Effect land this morning. This is, it's not only my history, as a gamer, and your history as, gamers who've been playing games for 20 odd years or more in my case, 40 years. Shit, 40 years. But this is gaming history. This is our history, but it's also stuff that people don't know about. This is stuff that people could be exposed to, and if it's remade, it will sell, and it gives us the nostalgia as the old people, and introduces the games to a new audience, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying we remake everything. I mean, Star Wars Connect, I think we can go without that. Yeah, there are a lot of games, some really, really shit ones that we can go without. But there's also a shit ton that we could look at. EA, Jungle Strike, Road Rash, just two titles, absolutely perfect for the current generation. Bring them out, or just emulate. Again, Sega, bring an emulator. That would be great. Sony, I mean, I love the idea of emulators. Put them on PCs, put them on Xboxes, put them on Switches, whatever. Let people play these classic games on emulation, and you charge a subscription fee. Great, wonderful. Sign me up. And look, yeah. This is a good comment from Force Paralysis. Remaking games is cool. I'm not talking about remaking every single game ever. I'm not talking about every company going, oh, we're going to remake everything in the next 10 days. I am talking about being judicious. I am talking about bringing some of this older stuff back and introducing people to it over the space of years, while still also doing the new stuff. I mean, if you think about it, and we'll talk about Ubisoft in a minute. But I mean, Ubisoft has The Division, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and the Clancy stuff. But Assassin's Creed every 2 years is Assassin's Creed reskinned with a couple of little bells and whistles. Where's the originality in that? Far Cry is, same stuff, different story, continent type thing. Same basis. Where's the originality in that? The Division and the other game, the hacking one, brain, Watch Dogs Legion. Again, Watch Dogs, third iteration. The Division, second iteration. But again, it's the same thing. It is the same thing. And yes, we do want original games. And this is why, when games like Hades come out, or Transistor, or Valheim or PUBG or whatever, that are different spins on these games, everybody goes bananas for them, and rightly so, because they are different and they are cool little spins, and then they get copied ad infinitum because that's the way the games industry is. So yeah, not saying everything, remake it right now, but pick a couple of games, focus on them, get them out, put together a platform, put that platform onto other platforms, an emulation platform that can go onto PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and just have some fun with it. iPad, who knows? Have some fun. So that's what I'm saying. It would be nice to see some of these ones. And in some cases, it would be nice for certain franchises that have been dormant for 20 years in some cases, or even longer, to come back to say hello. Because if you think about it, there's a whole generation, I'm sure some people here, who have no fucking clue what Road Rash is. Don't know anything about Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, or Urban Strike. That's a bit of a disappointment, you know. I mean, and it's interesting, you know, Nintendo have been doing it so well for decades. Everything new they brought out on the Super NES, and since then they've been repeating it ad infinitum every couple of years on every machine, and everybody likes it. So there is a market for it. Be judicious, and we can have some fun. All right, let's see. Let's go back to the chat room first. So that, yes. So I'm sure you agree with me. Let's take a no. We want some of these games back, and if not back in a, you know, if you don't have the budget to do them new and snazzy, slap out an emulator. Let's face it, you owned the Genesis. It was your tech. Why don't you just dick around with that and put it out there? And I know some people will say, "Oh yes, there is Genesis emulation and Master System and Game Gear and stuff like that," but I'd like to have some official. So the money goes back into the companies who actually made the games in the first place, as opposed to the nebulous piracy. Okay, so let's go on to Ubisoft. So it broke this week that Ubisoft has said that they are going to be focusing on free-to-play versions of the AAA games. We know that there is a free-to-play version of The Division coming out, and now they're talking about the same for Assassin's Creed and for a couple of others. And basically, that's the future. That's unfortunately what Fortnite has done to the industry. I mean, and Fortnite was just, you know, it was the tipping point, I think. Free to play, season passes, loot boxes. And that's what we're going to look at in video games. Now, they did update with a couple of hours later after the initial announcement to say that they won't be walking away from the more traditional AAA games like Assassin's Creed as a $60 release, and ditto Far Cry and so on. But this is the way the games are going. And the only counter to that is to actually buy the games. And it's tough because we now have these subscription services like the Microsoft subscription service, Xbox, and we get access to games and we can play those games and try something new or whatever. But there's a generation of gamers coming through who are not playing anything beyond fucking Fortnite. Fortnite's great with regards to, you know, bringing people into the games industry, but all it's doing now is cannibalizing it to such a degree that there's nothing left for anybody else. And I've yet to see if sales figures have been affected, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the sales figures of the AAA games going down somewhat on what we're expecting, because newer, younger gamers, I mean, you and I, we're the old people. This is the old person show. We will still buy our games, whether it be on PC or on console, and we might buy retail. So we buy a boxed version or we buy a digital version, but we will buy those games that have anywhere from 8 to 80 hours worth of gameplay. And we will enjoy them because that's what we are used to. That's what we like. But there is a generation that has come along, and that generation has been playing Fortnite for the last 4 years. And that generation is used to the same game over and over and over with slightly different maps, and then paying for, what was the new one? Beast Boy from the Teen Titans. That's the new package. Or their experience for Ripley and Aliens is through Fortnite, as opposed to playing Alien Isolation. And that's a worrying trend. It is a worrying trend because people go where the money is. Companies go where the money is. And I guarantee you every single AAA publisher is and has been for the last 18 months looking at how to emulate the Fortnite model. In-game purchases, season passes, loot boxes. It'll be interesting to see what happens with regards to loot boxes if they do get voted, especially in Europe, as gambling, denoted as gambling, because then it's actually impossible for anybody under 18 to buy them. So yeah, I'm going to be disappointed if we don't get a new Skyrim game that isn't a standalone Skyrim game. I don't need World of Skyrim. I don't need the Elder Scrolls Online to be Skyrim. I want a new Fallout game that's not Fallout 76, because Fallout 76 is not something that appeals to me. I'm sure a free-to-play Assassin's Creed would be interesting with lots of other assassins tootling around, but it would take so much work to do well at it, and I don't want to invest a shit ton of money because I'm getting griefed all the time. There's so many nuances with regards to these games and turning them into free-to-play properties with loot box and monetization that it could be an absolute disaster. Now, you know me, I'm a pessimist. The glass is always half empty. Why? Because when something surprises me, something good, I am pleasantly surprised. It's great. I go in thinking the worst all the time, so that way I'm not disappointed. Sad place to be, but I'm old and British. It's what we do. So, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this one moving forward. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think it's going to be interesting. I really think it's a bad sign for the industry if everybody starts going down this route. And if they do, we can kiss goodbye to keep hold of the physical copies of your games, because that shit's going to be rare moving forward. We're going to get less and less of the quality 80-hour games that we love, and more episodic content, season passes, free to play, driving us fucking nuts. All right. What else am I going to talk about today? Well, I'm going to talk about now, as we are at the halfway stage, I'm going to go back to chat room, and then I'm going to talk about Mass Effect Legendary. Okay. All right. So let's see. Road Rash was so much fun, says Sub Level 28, and she's right. It was. Super Moxie. My God, hang on a sec. Is that I have to? So Super Moxie, you have to excuse my old eyes, but do you have as your avatar John Pertwee, Doctor Who? Let me know. I have to know, because it looks like John Pertwee, Doctor Who. I may be totally wrong, but that looks like John Pertwee, Doctor Who. Steve Morris in the house. Hello, Steve. Nice to see you. Yeah, so, all right. So I'm caught up. Everybody's here. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's cool. Let's talk about Mass Effect Legendary. Well, it dropped this morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I tweeted out yesterday that I had it. Super Moxie confirms that this avatar right there, the legendary John Pertwee, the amazingly fantastic third Doctor who predated my Doctor in Tom Baker. John Pertwee, he was the first Doctor I saw, because I caught the very tail end. I was like 3, 4, maybe 5 watching with my mum. And I caught the end as he transitioned into Tom Baker. And he will always, forever have a place in my heart as a great Doctor, because obviously I went back and watched a lot of his stuff. And also, he was also Wurzel Gummidge, which was a kid's comedy character in the UK in the 80s. It was basically a scarecrow that came to life that had a fetish for cups of tea and slices of cake. Yeah, look it up. It actually got remade recently, and apparently it's much darker and creepier for the 21st century. But the first time round, it was very, very sweet and silly and kind of creepy, unintentionally so. So yes. Props to Super Moxie. And Roger Delgado as the Master. It was indeed fab, as Sublevel 28 pointed out. Okay, interesting comment from D. Nightwalker here. Problem is, I buy digital because it's cheaper than physical. Right now, I I'm with you with regards to digital saves. I mean, I have a PC, desktop, my first desktop PC ever that doesn't have a CD-ROM drive. So everything is installed, which means, should the apocalypse come, playing video games is going to be the least of my worries. But as I said, as I showed you earlier with Super Star Wars and Super Empire Strikes Back, I mean, I do have that. And, that's the game I was talking about just now. Desert Strike. That's a game that needs to be remade. So I have these here. So when when the apocalypse has come and I'm on a compound somewhere where we've got solar power, and that solar power is powering a Super NES and a PlayStation 1 and what other consoles I've got where I've got physical copies of games, I will be able to be nostalgic in between fighting off hordes of zombies, of course. But yes, I do miss the physical stuff, but I do understand it. I do wish, though, as I've said before, that the prices were cheaper for digital stuff. That's why I do love the digital sales, take advantage of it. But I figure that if you are paying not to have a physical copy of a game, your game should be a little cheaper. All right, so Mass Effect Legendary, as I was saying, dropped this morning. I was very lucky. I got access. I got sent a code for it. And so last night I started the preload. And then this morning I got back in, and you get into it, and it gives you the choice of either starting with Mass Effect, or you can skip straight to 2 or 3. I'm going old school hardcore. I'm starting with Mass Effect. And I got to say, already I can see where, yes, the graphics are gorgeous. And when I say gorgeous, I mean, they're gorgeous compared to what they were. The lip syncing is kind of scary when you hear, when you see them going, because it's not, they haven't redone, they've up-res the textures, but they haven't redone the motion capture and the lip syncing. Understandably so, that added a shit ton to the budget. So yes, when it's more like that with the voices coming out. But again, voice talent is absolutely superb. The first thing you notice is the combat's been tweaked. It's a little more fluid. It's a little better. It's a little more like Mass Effect 2 and 3 in my memory, because I haven't played either for a long time. But I will, because I'm going to work through them. But the story's there. Shepard's there. I've only just got a couple of hours in, so I've done the first couple of missions. The Normandy is back, and it's so nice to step back onto that Normandy, especially when it's all high-resed up to the nth degree. And so I've got to say, I'm very lucky I got a code for it. I would have bought it otherwise. I will do a full report on next week, because let's face it, we're talking about a game that's between 15 and 9 years old, a trilogy, if you will. But I'm very happy so far, just even walking around the Citadel. Yes, it is limited. It's going to be limited in a lot of ways, because we're talking about a 2005, 2006 game in Mass Effect 1. But it's nice to be back there, and it shows how much love and affinity I have for the characters. So I'm enjoying it. But obviously, with Mass Effect, there comes a little bit of controversy. And of course, I'm talking about the ending of Mass Effect 3, which almost a decade ago, it was 2012, Mass Effect 3 hit. And we were all like, whoa, Mass Effect 3, and it's gorgeous, and oh, look at this, is Shepard, and there's this stuff, and it starts off like that, and we get to a certain stage, and we start that final set of missions, and we get to the end, and we're like, what the shitballs? It was not what it was promised. So everybody started getting upset about it. It started off being a little slow. Somebody posted a video of it, and I'm like, this isn't what and then the press started talking about it. There were polls. This was obviously in the early days of social media, thankfully, so none of the mega toxicity, as far as I know, came out. But there was a backlash. Letters were written. A change.org petition was written. And to be fair, EA and BioWare listened. And they gave everybody the ending that they had promised. And the difference was between the endings was we'd been told all the way through these games, and in particular in the hype build up to Mass Effect 3, that our choices that we've made across all 3 games would make a difference. So that's a hefty amount of information. Pause there a second. My dog's going nuts. I got to find out why. Be right back. I think the wife's taking the cat to the vets. Spike would like to know his mortal enemy, the mailman, was here. And so Spike will be joining us because my good lady wife has indeed, as I realized, taken our cat to the vet because she's not well. But yes, here's Spike. So you're going to be a good boy? You want a kiss? Thank you. Go to your blanket. Go on, go find your blanket. So Spike is going to be on his blanket for the rest of the day. Where was I? Yes. So Mass Effect 3. The ending they delivered was not what they promised. It felt like every decision that we'd made, and look, everybody knows the way everybody knows the way they played the game and which way they went, and every decision that they made didn't make a damn bit of difference when it comes. I'm switching up to the water. Came to the end of the game. And so, as I said, EA and BioWare listened and released in a mega update an ending that actually did what it said. And people were happy. People went away. Now, cue to today, and we have a lot more situations where people are demanding stuff be done. Release the Snyder Cut, uncancel shows like Lucifer, or most recently Prodigal Son, which got cancelled this week. Very disappointed. I hope it gets picked up by another outlet like Netflix or something and given a proper finish. But we are in the middle of cancel culture. We are in the middle of people demanding that you do things this way and that way. Gatekeeping is on the increase. And then I saw a piece this morning on CNET, which surprised the fuck out of me for 2 reasons. Firstly, who the fuck reads CNET? How is CNET still a thing? CNET was fucking old and out of date when I was in PR. That surprised me. So good on you, CNET. I mean, well done. You stuck around. I thought they'd put you out to pasture with AOL and fucking Yahoo. But anyway, this thing on CNET basically talked about the controversy and how it gave rise to the situation we're currently in, the gaming toxicity. Now, I'm going to step back in time because I did do an Annoyed Gamer episode about it and where I talked about things. And I don't remember things being toxic back then. I don't remember people spouting death threats because, again, Twitter wasn't really a thing. Facebook was only just tootling along. I mean, Twitter, was picking up. It was a thing. Yes, it was a thing. But I don't remember the death threats. I don't remember anything like that. Maybe I was lucky. Maybe I'm filtering stuff out. A lot of stuff has been scrubbed from my brain. Like I said, old man, it happens. But what I remember is a lot of people being disappointed and talking about it and and just sharing their disappointment, explaining why. Not, fuck you this, fuck you that. And again, it may be my memory scrubbing stuff. But honestly, the writer goes on to blame the Mass Effect 3 controversy and everybody who participated in it for all the woes that have befallen the world today, pretty much. I mean, they talk about the gatekeeping, they talk about cancel culture, they talk about, everything bar, to be honest with you, the rise of Trump. I'm surprised that we're not blamed for that as well because of this, or because people were disappointed that a developer who had already created 2 games of a franchise that were beloved, critically acclaimed, and released the 3rd one and said they were going to do something, and then they didn't frickin' do it. That was the only issue we had. The rest of the game was fine. I mean, the previous 2 games were beyond fine. It was a great trilogy. And so anybody who's putting their finger on that as the problem with entitled gamers is totally getting the script wrong and totally reading history in a wrong, in the wrong way. I'm saying flat out freaking wrong. Sorry, that's just the way it is. All we wanted was the ending we were promised, and we got that ending. And that's it. Made the game perfect. Don't blame the gamers when the dev and the publisher do something and then, or promise something, and then don't fucking deliver. They go contrary. They do something different. That's a problem. That's something journalists should be standing up for, not bitching and writing these little pieces on CNET about, oh, how well, yes, this is all cancel culture outrage, this is controversy, this is toxic gaming, this is gatekeeping. No, it's people wanting what they were fucking promised, Sunshine. So I'm sorry, you're in the wrong on that one. Yes, we do have situations every fucking day. We've had it with Star Wars, with the bullshit over the Rian Johnson Star Wars game, the Last Jedi Star Wars movie. That one on rewatch, I kind of like that, to be honest with you. It's not like The Force Awakens, and it's not like The Last Skywalker, or whatever the hell is then the next Skywalker, the Palpatine Jr., whatever. It's basically not like the shitty JJ movies. He's also saying that, this is the sort of same person who is bitching about, oh, Disneyland, you can't go to Disneyland now because people are allowed to wear tattoos, because people are gatekeeping, and Disneyland needs to stick as it was, as a homogenized 1940s, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. You don't compare that sort of thing to people talking about the ending of Mass Effect. What you have when somebody is bitching about Disneyland allowing cast members to have tattoos, which are pretty much underneath the uniforms and the costumes and their own hairstyles and all that sort of stuff, underneath wigs, etc. Most of the time, it's called freedom. It's called we're allowed to have that. People, as long as they are clean, as long as they are professional, as long as they do their job, which is a thankless task half the time, at Disneyland, and do it with a smile on their face and make the guest happy, that's the least of the fucking worries. How about you worry about not going to Disneyland until they pay $20 an hour and provide full benefits and they don't fucking furlough people left, right, and center? How about you worry about that? It's ridiculous when we have people take things to extreme. The people who take things to extreme are the ones who freak out when Johnny Storm is now a black man in the Fantastic Four, horrible Fantastic Four. I mean, Michael B. Jordan and that cast was so wasted in that horrible movie. Can Superman be a black man? Well, he actually can, yeah. People get outraged. You can't do this, you got to do this. I got a little bit irked when Doctor Who became a woman. Not because I have issues with it being a woman. I had issues because, for me, it was a strong role model that I've been familiar with all my life, a male role model who somebody grew up without a dad for 10 years until my mum remarried. That was one of the few strong role models in my life that I could see on TV that didn't swear, didn't use a gun, didn't hit women, used his brain. And to take that away from young boys, I think, or just boys in general, is a bad sign, just from my perspective. But then I also looked at it from the perspective of there are now girls who can grow up with their female doctor, the first female doctor, and be so proud and relate to that doctor. And that's great because they get to have what I had. And I can't be against that because it's good. So when you're talking about cancel culture, when you're talking about people getting pissed off and gatekeeping, if you want to gatekeep for the for the right reasons, as in you want to protect something, but don't be a dick about it. With Mass Effect, we just wanted what we were promised, and we got it. Don't lump that in with everybody then who makes crazy fucking demands like Disneyland needs to be pure and Aryan. That's bullshit. That, if you want to look at that, that's Trump. That's Trump. That's Proud Boys. That's Gamergate. That's Milo. That's Ian Miles Chong. That's a bunch of right-wing fucknuts. That's Fox News. That's Newsmax. That's all those assholes who invented cancel culture. People say, "Oh, cancel culture is terrible because because liberals want to cancel everything. They want to cancel my beer because it's not made of beef burgers, and they want to cancel Pepe Le Pew because he's a skunk who's also forces himself on women." And this is coming from the party and the bunch of people who in the 80s wanted to cancel video games. In the 60s, they wanted to cancel rock and roll. In the 50s, they wanted to cancel comic books. In the 80s and 90s, they wanted to cancel violent movies, rock and roll music, hair music, rap. Every fucking time it's the same people who wanted to cancel it. And now we want to cancel them. Now they're getting a little bit pissed off about it. We want to say, you know what? Having a character that basically tries to hump everybody, not really a good role model. Time Capsule worked in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s because we didn't know any different. We know we've evolved. So, sorry, sore throat. Bear with me. Okay, so there you go. Oh, look at this. Okay, I don't know who Jim Boy is, but Jim Boy doesn't like me. All right, Jim Boy. Yes, I am probably Welsh. Because what? The flag gave away? This dude is fucking mental. Well, I am. Yes, indeed. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, I got into a rant. That's what I do. I'm all for us evolving as a species. I'm all for us evolving as a society. I'm all for shit that was done 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago not being acceptable now. Because let's face it, times have changed. And we are better. And we have to be more respectful of each other. We have to be more respectful of people's personal spaces and things that we did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s that we can't do now because we didn't know any different. And people weren't educating. People weren't standing up to tell us this isn't wrong, isn't right. And now we know it's not right, and we're not doing it. We had role models that were dubious, and we know it's not right, and we have to accept and move on and realize that that behavior is not acceptable. And that's just the way it is. Anyway. All right, Jim Boy. Google me. I'm going to be all over it. I think I've been around doing this stuff. Well, I did it a lot earlier in the last decade. So anyway, anybody in the chat room feel to want to bring up Jim Boy, bring him up to speed, that would be great. Or her, apologize. BHO, I mean, is that like he's a Celtic supporter or, Scots? I mean, it just, that spelling. Anyway. Yes. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I kind of lost a bunch of viewers all in one as well. I probably pissed a bunch of people off. That's just the way it is. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I don't think when people want to campaign for something they were promised or something that is inherently right, they should be lumped in with a bunch of dickwads who are hypocrites and want to go after somebody because of the color of their skin or their gender or whatever. Probably could put it a lot better. There's other people who could put it a lot better, but when I go off on a tangent, I start rambling. Anyway. Okay, so there you go. It's funny just when somebody comes in randomly and starts interacting, and yeah. Yeah, it's all fun and games. So anyway, that was fun. Like I said, I got carried away. If you've got any more questions, if you've got any thoughts about that, if anybody's left, feel free to drop them in the chat room. That would be fantastic. I am happy to. Sorry. All right, RP Genius. What would I like to do? Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Well, I'm glad you got a lot of clips. Put whatever you want out there, dude. I'm putting it out there. People are happy. If people want to listen, put it out there. Go ahead and cancel me. Go ahead and do whatever you want. I'm 50 years old. I don't give a shit. I'm just putting my opinion in that. In the last 20 or 30 years, my behavior has changed, and society's behavior has changed somewhat, or it needs to continue to change because we need to be nicer to each other with regards to respecting genders and respecting skin tones and everything else. And shit that was okay 30 years ago isn't okay now. And lumping people in when they want what they were promised with a bunch of people who are pissed off that we aren't all living in a fucking Disney-fied world from 1940. That's a problem. Here we go. You want the info? That's the Twitter. You're obviously watching this on Twitch, so you know who I am there. You want the YouTube channel? Right there with my name. Look it up. You type up Marcus Beer, it'll probably say Phil Fish at some point as well. You'll probably have fun with that as well. And that's it. So, Jimbo, yes, I'm glad you got a lot of clips. Put them up. Great. Bring more views. Fantastic. Could always do with it. And if you think that I've had to deal, I can get intimidated by somebody threatening to post my shit on Reddit. Oh, dude, I've been through 2 heart attacks, double heart bypass, fostered 2 kids who then went back to their birth families. I've lost animals. I've lost loved ones. I had a show on Game Trailers a decade ago, 250,000 viewers a week. Kind of been there, done that. Got into pissing fights with bigger people. So put whatever you want up, dude. I've said it for a fucking reason. I stand by it. So there you go. Okay, so apparently it's a grown man ranting, and that's funny, which means, yeah. I just hit the man button. Apparently, it's funny for a grown man to be ranting, just like it's apparently hysterical for somebody to come onto somebody's show and just troll them. Tiny dick's gonna tiny dick. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, got sidetracked, but that was fun. It was fun. I do wish I could have somebody else moderate the chat, but let's face it, you guys are mostly fantastic, I gotta say. Let's see who Jimboy is, shall we? Jimboy has 5 followers, is offline. They haven't ever tweeted. They haven't ever streamed. Have they? No videos. No schedule. There you go. So Jimboy is exactly the sort of person I'm talking about. So happy Hanukkah. Happy Friday. Happy Christmas. Oh. All right. Sorry, it kind of took the wind out of me. All right, Mark Simpson is going to share a dating update about the woman from Neath he was fancying. Come on, Mark, fill us all in while I get ready to finish up the show. If you want to let me know what your favorite Star Wars movies are, please drop them right here. You said, what the hell, go for it, at our age should be happy. I told her my feelings and was ghosted. I'm so sorry, Mark. So I have basically cost you the friendship of this woman. I feel so bad. This is what happens when you turn to somebody like me for relationship advice. Although I have been happily married for a decade, almost a decade, and in a relationship with my wife for 15 years. So it was never meant to be, mate. You'll find the next person. You'll find someone. Be positive. Okay. Sublevel 28 asks, are they rants or simply the truth? Look, I mean, that's the thing. They're my truth. They're my perspective. They're not everybody's. You don't have to agree with them. That is another motto for me right there. RP Genius asks a very good question because I didn't talk about this yesterday. Excuse me, sorry. Having some allergy issues. Yes, so Liverpool, the game from 2 weeks ago, the Manchester United game, rearranged for yesterday. We went to Old Trafford, played a full-strength team, with the exception of one of their defenders missing. We were missing 3. What you going to do? And we won 4-2. Great performance. Slow start. Middle of the game picked up. Let off again, stepped off a little in the final quarter, but then nailed it. Basically, if Liverpool win their 3 remaining games, they will make the top 4. Because Chelsea and Leicester, who play for the FA Cup tomorrow, also play next Tuesday. And whoever loses that one is going to be looking over their shoulder, because if Liverpool win their 3 games and have a better goal difference, then, it'll be interesting. So, never say never. Oh. All right. Okay, so your favorite Star Wars games. Let's have a look. Chester Eugene says, although these are the movies. All right, movies. I'm talking about the Star Wars games, boys and girls. I mean, obviously, we all have our favorites. Empire, Rogue One, 2 of mine. Oh, God, you can tell I haven't done this in a couple of weeks. Throat's getting really sore. Anyway, don't get old, people. Getting old is bad for you. Let's see. Let's go to Twitter. Well, I've not seen any blowback on Twitter yet, or maybe I'll just have to go to the Welsh thing on Reddit and see if there are any rants. And then this guy saying, "Oh, he blocked me. Whatever." I'm going to wind it down. Yes, KOTOR 1 and 2, The Old Republic, Star Wars Galaxies, Dark Forces. Great choices. KOTOR 1 and 2, Force Awakens, Fallen Order. Really. What else was I going to talk about last week that I didn't? I know. I was going to talk about Returnal, wasn't I? So Returnal has been getting a lot of love. People saying it's the Game of the Year candidate, the early front runner. People are getting very excited over it. Best PS5 game, so on and so forth. Haven't played it. Can't say I played it because I still don't have a PS5. So I am just going to talk about this whole roguelike thing that people are really enjoying, which is you play to a certain area, you play through a game, you die, you go back, you have to replay it. Not fun for me. Don't get me wrong, I liked Hades. That's the only kind of roguelike game that I've really, liked, but I haven't played in a fair while now because it got repetitive, and that's the thing with these games. Returnal, people are saying, well, I was 5 hours into Returnal and I died and I got sent. And it's like, why isn't there a save? And people saying, because that's the point of the game and you're an idiot. And no, you're an idiot. Roguelike games are the current fad, just like we had Fortnite, just like we had zombie games, like we had every other fad. I don't like them. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over. It's why I don't play WoW anymore, because of the fucking grind. I don't want to regrind. Now, I can't judge Returnal because I haven't played it, so I don't know how different it is every playthrough. But if I am paying $60 or $70 for a game and I play it and I die and I have to go back to the start, well, shame on me for buying it, but I'm hoping that there's enough difference. With Hades, there's a little bit of difference, and then you keep your weapon progression. You get to unlock cool new weapons and achievements. And if that's the same in Returnal, well, what are people bitching about? You knew what you were getting into when you bought it. I am not a fan of the roguelike, but if you like it, good for you. If you don't like it and you still buy Returnal, well, that's your own fault. That's all I got. All right, RP Genius is asking, hang on, is asking about Mass Effect, next Mass Effect game, given the mess that was Andromeda. I don't know. let me get through this one. Let me get this through this one. Fall back in love with Mass Effect as I'm going to do. Let me get through Legendary, and let's talk about that in a couple of weeks. We'll table that one in a couple of weeks. Let's see. D. Knight Walker, interesting question. I have to say the BBC should fire whoever's in charge of international distribution because I don't know how Line of Fire is not a global thing. Can't believe it took me that long to hear of it. All right, so this is the situation with the BBC as my understanding. BBC Worldwide originally handled all this stuff. BBC Worldwide had licensing deals all over the place, and then the BBC started doing their own channels. They had BBC America here, where BBC America was showing a lot of stuff. Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, Torchwood, all the Ramsey stuff, Antiques Roadshow, Top Gear, Graham Norton Show. They had a huge selection of British shows. And then the Conservative government started getting involved with the BBC and saying, you have to make more cutbacks. You can't charge as much. You can't be, you have to start taking commercials and this, that, and the other. So they started trimming back. And in the US in particular, the BBC America got licensed to AMC, who've promptly turned it into shitty movie reruns 99% of the time. We'll get Doctor Who, we'll get Graham Norton, but the rest of it's just fucking reruns of Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, whatever. Now, shows like, the BBC has BritBox, which is their own service, which they formed with ITV, and here in the US got off to a rocky start because they didn't really know how to promote it well. It was all over the shop, and a lot of stuff had already been licensed out to Netflix and various other streaming services. So, for example, Line of Duty is on Hulu, seasons 1 to 5. Season 6 is coming to BritBox. It should actually be on BritBox this week. I think that's when it's starting to drop after the UK finale. Fair enough. But that's how I found it. I found it on on Hulu. There's a lot of stuff on Amazon. It's all over the place because, again, with the BBC, there's not so much that they actually produce. There's very few things they produce in-house. They hire production companies to make stuff for them. And these production companies then end up either signing, it depends on the funding and exclusivity of the deal. Either BBC Worldwide will license stuff out, or the production companies through their agents will license the stuff out. So it's very complex. Do I think the BBC and ITV should get together and make BritBox a lot better and start pulling stuff in once it comes off their distribution deals with Netflix, etc.? Absolutely. For another example, HBO Max here in the US has Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, Class. It also has Gavin and Stacey. It has Whitechapel. It has a bunch of British stuff. So yeah, it's very confusing. It is, but if you have not seen Line of Duty and you got Hulu, check it out. First 5 seasons, and then it's on BritBox sometime this month. Maybe already up. I haven't renewed my BritBox subscription yet, so hope that helped with regards to an answer, D. Knight Walker. Okay. All right. Look, I love that you say that. As a kid, I was like 23. I was 26, 27 maybe when Terrible Kazi came out. And I bought that game. It was like Star Wars martial arts, and it's awful on the PlayStation 1. But yeah, nostalgia. Interesting observation. Yes, look, Andromeda had issues. Andromeda had pacing issues. Yes, there were bugs, but pacing issues. It dragged. And I don't know what it was. I think it's because we had Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 that we didn't, we had all the characters that we'd played, we were familiar with on our team, and we had affection for. And now we're talking about a new set of characters. And that's always tough. It's Star Trek versus Star Trek The Next Generation versus Discovery, whatever. And people will start to have their own love and joy for those characters moving forward. It just felt so slow to me. And controls were clunky. I bought it on the PS4. controls were clunky. It was just not a fun game. The writing was not as good, especially compared to BioWare in its heyday. But that BioWare is gone, never to return. So, maybe Andromeda could get a revisit with some rewriting. Do you think we'll ever get a good Doctor Who game? Although I don't like their games, yes. It would have been nice to have a Doctor Who Telltale game, and I'll be honest with you, the Lego games Traveller's Tales, who are based in the UK, I'm very lucky to know a couple of people who work at Traveller's Tales. They are very lovely people, and they know how much I like what they've done. And yes, it would be lovely to have Doctor Who, and bear with me. The closest we'll ever come is that, I think. It would be absolutely fantastic to have a Doctor Who Lego game with all the doctors, all the enemies, because he's non-violent. It works. All the characters, all the assistants and sidekicks and companions over the years, and K9 and the different types of TARDIS and Gallifrey and Skaro. It would be immense. I just don't know. I just don't think that it's something that the BBC would want to fund, and it would be a huge undertaking. It would be a huge fiscal undertaking. I think it would sell, but I don't. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I just don't think we'll ever get it. So there's my answer on that. Okay. So I think that's it. Been going for an hour and 11. Throat's a little sore. Keep an eye out for Jim Boy. Have a word with him. If he posts something, you know where I am on the Twitter. Have some fun. Let me know. I'm going to have to go and check out Reddit Welsh, because apparently this crazy Welsh person, I hope he Googles me. I hope he realizes that, yes, this guy's been an idiot for a decade. I mean, I'm not, you didn't just discover me. I've been a dick for a long time. Since about 2000, since about 1970, in fact. But yes, it is always strange when I see something like that. It just throws me off. So much love to everybody. If you are, I'm going to go through the captions. So here we go. If you're not following me on Twitter, please follow me. I am @AnnoyedGamer. If you're watching on Twitch TV, give me a like or follow or whatever the hell they do. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, if you hit me up with a subscription, that would be great, or a like or a follow, whatever. And then if you are inclined, if you find what I do amusing in any way, shape, or form, or entertaining, and you feel like tossing a few shekels my way, that is the Patreon. And if you go there, there's a couple of different tiers, with the basic tier being $3 a month. So you get this 4 times a month, plus you'll get access to the Discord server where people chat and share stuff, all for the low price of $3 per month, which is less than a Starbucks. If you want to double up and go to 6, well, then you get the live stream. You get the 2 live streams a month, of which I haven't done with the issues. I haven't done one recently. So live stream, I'm going to be doing a live stream only for subscribers next week. And I'll do it at a time that it really works for the Brits and the Euros as well, not some godforsaken time. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Sorry I couldn't make it last week. I'll be back next week. And look, touch wood, it didn't go down. We're in a good space. Be well, be safe, be good. I'm going over to the Discord now. If you want to tootle on over there, if you are a Patreon subscriber, we can chat. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Talk to me on Twitter or wherever you